Okay, let's start our class today. So in the last class, we actually started our chapter 1 and we have discussed some topic like management process, what the managerial skill and different types of managers, right? So today we are going to start from our manager role. This slide has not been taught yet, right? We will start from this slide. Can anyone remember who was in the last class? We have discussed up to managerial role, right? Or we have discussed this one. No one remembers? This one is done? Okay. I didn't give anyone attendance. You guys did by yourself, right? That means you missed. You didn't sign. Okay. After class, I will solve it, okay? Just remind me. Okay, managerial role has been done. Sure? As far as I remember, yes, that's what I was talking about. Kinds of manager, right? That was the last topic. From this topic, we will start today. Yes, other kinds of managers, right? So today we are going to start from our managerial role. That means to be a manager, if you are a manager, then which type of role you have to play? Which type of role you have to play, right? That is role playing. Like what type of duties you have to execute. So that's our managerial role. So there are different type of managerial roles, but basically these are the three important ones. First one is interpersonal, informational and decisional. In general, what do we understand by interpersonal skills? Or interpersonally, the word itself. In general, if we say, okay, you have a good interpersonal skills, what do we actually mean by this interpersonal?
Exceptional skill.
Exceptional? Yes. That means basically you have the ability to communicate with people in an effective way. You can motivate people, you can guide people, right? Interpersonal skills. To communicate with people, the skills I need. Everyone can communicate with people, but not in an effective way, right? We can talk with everyone, but does everyone listen to you? No, right? That means the person who can communicate effectively, that means when a person talks, everyone listens. So that means he has interpersonal skills, right? Not everyone will talk and we will listen. No, that person will talk in a certain way that we will feel, okay, I should listen to what he is saying. It is important. So that's our interpersonal skills. So as a manager, if you cannot motivate your employees, if you cannot communicate with them properly, then it's like you cannot succeed in your role as well as in the organization will fail, right? So interpersonal skills has actually three different criteria. First one is figurehead. Figurehead, that means we actually understand, right? A person who has to communicate with everyone outside the organization, who is the head basically. So you have to maintain an alliance with everyone outside the organization, going to different events, talking in different seminars, motivating young people, right? So this is a figurehead. For say in Bangladesh, we have MDs from many companies, successful companies, so we actually look out to them, right? We say, okay, this person is a very good speaker, we want to listen to that person, we go to seminars so that we can listen to what he's saying. So he is a good figurehead. And then comes our leader. That means who can actually encourage his employees, his workers. So that is our leader, leadership quality. And then liaison. That means who can actually coordinate activities or coordinate project. In an organization, there are multiple things going at once. But a manager's job is to actually coordinate everything, right? Multitasker, be a multitasker. So that's actually liaison. So by interpersonal skills, we understand these three, a manager should have these three type of qualities. Then comes our informational. The basic sense of informational, that means a manager has to have information about ins and outs of the organization, right? So informational also role also have three different titles. First one is monitor. Monitor inside the organization or outside the organization? By monitoring, what do you mean here?
Inside.
Only inside?
Inside outside both.
Both, right? Inside, of course, because we have to monitor what every employee is doing. Outside, why? Because we want to scan other industry, what other industries are doing, what my competitor is doing. If I don't know what my competitor is doing, how can I create a new strategy, right? So that is why monitor each and every activity inside and outside of the organization. After that comes our disseminator. What does the word mean by disseminator? Yes, taking initiative, mainly taking initiative. So a person who is a disseminator always takes initiative by himself or herself. So a manager has to take initiative by himself, right? He has to think of, okay, now we need to do this, now we need to do that. No one's going to tell a manager what to do. He has to motivate himself, right? So he is the disseminator who actually outlines for different organizational initiatives. After that comes our spokesperson. Spokesperson and leader are the same. Spokesperson and leader are the same. How does they differ?
Spokesperson could be anyone, but the leaders are the ones who actually are more into engaging and encouraging.
Leaders, they also communicate, right?
A senior executive also can be a spokesperson.
Yes. So a leader actually communicates, right? A spokesperson, he also communicates. So what's the difference? Difference is a leader actually motivate people. Leader can motivate people, change their action. Spokesperson only talk about the planning and strategies. Only just guide them, guide others what the work should be done, how the work should be done actually, the process, the basic strategies, the planning. They actually make them understand, but they don't motivate. Leaders, they communicate as well as they motivate. Okay, so that's the basic difference, spokesperson and leader. They both communicate, but their work is a bit different. One is only conveying message, conveying a strategy, and another one actually motivating people. Then comes our decisional role. That means a manager has to have the capability to take critical decisions in a critical moments. That actually makes them managers, right? That is why they are in a higher position, because they can predict the future. They can take better decisions. Depending on their decisions, company's reputation can be built and it can be destroyed as well. So in decisional role, we also have 4 criteria. First one is entrepreneur. Of course, why under decisional role entrepreneurship is here? Like I have said, a manager has to has decisional role, right? So under decisional role, there are certain titles. Okay, one is entrepreneur. So why a manager has to be an entrepreneur to have this decisional role? I mean, how does it relate with decisional role, entrepreneurship?
Because an entrepreneur is he is to motivate his employee for the development.
But does entrepreneurship means motivating employees?
Entrepreneur is basically the one who develops new ideas for new business.
Who innovates, right? Who innovates basically. So that means what? He is taking decision whether to pursue a new business or not, whether to innovate or not. So it is under decision and decisional role, because he is actually taking decision whether to go for a new business or not, right? Whether to innovate these things or not. So decisional role, that means you have a manager has to be also an entrepreneur. If he has to like play his role perfectly, because he has to take decision not only for the existing plan, also for the new plans as well. For say they are a business in company, they have a product line for male. Now they want to introduce a product line for female. So if he is a manager, then he will be calculating all the risk factors and all the benefits. Then he will take decision if he move forwards to for a new chain, female products. That means what? He is playing the role of an entrepreneur because he is inventing something new, right? And then comes our disturbance handler. Okay, disturbance handler, that means the word is very clear. Who is handling all the disputes and conflict in the organization? In a big organization, there are multiple people working, they are coming from different culture, different background. So it's very obvious that there might be conflict, right? Because everyone's value perception is different. But the conflict will happen, okay? But the important thing is how to resolve it in an effective way and quickly. So a manager's job also is to remove this conflict, remove this barrier, so that the workflow is like ongoing, right? After that comes our resource allocator. Yes.
Disturbance handler, is it only organization or from outside the organization?
It's mainly inside the organization because his focus is actually inside the organization, how to like flow the maintenance of the employees of the organization, right? That's why.
From the outside disturbance, who is the one who will take care
It depends. Actually, if the outside disturbance is it's associated with labor law, industrial law, then it should be handled by the HR or the labor relationship manager. In big industries, they have separate labor relationship manager who actually actually handles all the dispute related to labor law and industrial law. And if it's like among the companies, among the competitors, then it should be handled by the managers. Because but the dispute we are talking about among the competitive companies, they are not like fighting with each other, right? It's just someone has said a statement and he has also like given a statement against that. This type of mental game actually, not physical violence. So this type of things can be managed by the normal in general manager. But it is if it is a big issue, then it has to be solved by the relationship development or relationship manager. Okay. In big organizations, they have a relationship manager and HR manager. In small organizations, they only have HR manager who handles the organizational dispute as well as the outside dispute, both. Then resource allocator. That means who will be allocating resource. Resource means information, our human resource capitals, right? So these are our resources. So it's his duty to make the budget. Every year, in a fiscal year, a manager is responsible to sit with other department heads and make the budget, right? Because without a proper budget, no plans can be executed. After that comes our negotiator. Negotiation with whom? Our employees or others? Negotiation with everyone. A manager has to negotiate with employees. If an employee is saying no, I won't do the job, then it's his job to make him understand. If the supplier is asking for more price, it's his job to communicate with them, right? So every negotiation, for say with media, they have a problem, so negotiation with the media. Don't print this news about my company. So all types of negotiation is a role of a manager. So these are the basic role of a manager. If you want to become a manager or if you are a manager, these are the roles you have to play. Any confusion in this slide? No? These are very easy concept, right? Chapter 1 is all about basic. So I don't think it will create any problem for anyone. Okay, we have already discussed this role. Now comes skills. To perform your job, to perform any job, we need some certain skills. So if I'm talking about doing or achieving a good grade in our exam, that means what type of actually skill we need? We need good writing skills, good speaking skills, good memorizing skills, good analytical skills, right? So a manager also needs some skills to perform his job. So what are those basic skills? First one is technical. Technical skills means what? What type of skill we are talking about? Is it related with technology or something else? Technical skills?
It actually builds techniques to handle people. techniques to imply new changes or any sort of implementations within our system.
Yes,
So
that
it's
means,
basically more to
It
frameworks.
includes
yes.
all of those that for implementing the for going to gain profit.
That means we are not talking here about the technological skills, right? Not the computer skill, not the software skills, no. We are actually talking about handling people, how to communicate with good way in a people, or how to make a strategy, techniques. Does a manager know the technique? Like how, if a manager is trying to what do you say? Trying to give a job to their employees which they are resisting, no, I will not do the job, then how he can actually achieve those job from him or attain this job from him, right? So he has to maintain some tactics, some techniques. So these tactics we are talking about here, okay? Training the subordinates, training the new employees, better communicating with them, what type of job he or she needs to be done, showing this to them, right? For say you have a new employee in your organization who doesn't know how to use a basic software, okay, then it's your job to show the work, right, basic things. Or he doesn't know anything about at all the formal structure, how to talk with the seniors and all. So it's your job to communicate with him and let him actually guide to whom, like which, for which position what to call, where to go, which department to go for which type of problem. So this is actually technical skills, okay? So a manager has to have the knowledge of small types of technical skills. If you are owning a restaurant, okay, if you are owning a restaurant but you don't know cooking, then what will happen, tell me? You are a owner of a restaurant but you don't know anything about cooking.
We have to manage. We have to manage different people who can to
But if you have no knowledge about your business, then what will happen? People will say, okay, you don't know anything, but I'm the chef, I know. This was this price. I have bought it, it is the best quality with this price, right? But they are actually cheating you. Because in the market it has a low price, but you don't know that, right? They are saying, I have bought this meat, it is the best quality, the price is like this, okay? But you are trusting the chef. But if you knew how to cook, then you would have known, nah, no, the price is not like that. The price is more cheaper. Not only that, what happens when customer give review? You don't know anything about cooking, so you don't know what a food should taste like, right? So if a customer is giving a bad review about a food, the chef will say, no, this is how everyone cooks. The customer doesn't know. We don't need this type of customer. But if you can cook, then what will happen? You will taste it and you will know what is missing here, right? So to have an if you are on a business, you have to have knowledge about everything about that business. So a manager has to have knowledge about everything of the organization, for the marketing department, HR department, account department, finance department, basic things. Otherwise he cannot actually coordinate with the people. People will lie to them and they will not know how what the lie is actually, okay? So they will be in a great misery. That is why technical skill is a must for every manager. The basic knowledge about every department, every work, every role, he has to know it, so that people cannot actually say, okay, you don't know, I know better than you, so that thing I'm doing is the best. No. So that is why a manager actually needs to have these technical skills. After that comes our interpersonal skills. So to play your interpersonal role, you must have interpersonal skills. So what are those skills? Both communicating with the people of the organization within and outside of the organization, motivating people, get along with your colleagues, get along with the subordinates, right? So people have to like you. If in many organizations we see people saying, my manager is very rude, my manager, he doesn't know how to talk, he doesn't know how to behave, right? That means what? He doesn't have these interpersonal skills. People doesn't like him, he's not a good leader. So ultimately people will eventually leave the organization out of frustration. But if in organizations people say, okay, my manager is very good, it's all about techniques. Manager's job is to take out work from people, right? But how you are doing it, it varies. If you are behaving rude, behaving negatively, and then you expect people to work for you, then that is a bad approach. This same thing can be done in a positive approach. If you are behaving well with an employee, they will eventually work for you with a happy face. So that is called interpersonal skills. How you handle people in a way that they are happy, at the same time they are doing the work for you. Okay, so that is interpersonal skills. Not everyone has these skills, trust me. I have done many jobs and I have seen different type of bosses. So from my experience, I can say it actually varies. If you actually have a good boss, then it actually varies a lot. Psychologically, it has a great psychological impact. In my first job, I had a great boss, I would say. And I actually admire her so much. Even now I'm talking about her because I admire her so much, okay? So she was the one, like, we didn't want that our boss will be in a trouble for us. She has to listen to all the bad things because of us. That's why we actually completed our work. That much motivated we were under her. She actually convinced us is a very positive way. She didn't actually say any negative word any time of any point in my job life. In a very positive approach, positive way, but I don't know why I used to really do all the work for her in a very positive way. So interpersonal skill is like that.
Does it include all kind of inherent qualities of the person?
I don't get you.
Does it include what kind of inherent qualities of a person?
Maybe sometimes, right? So if the person is like very polite, very gentle, yet it doesn't mean he cannot be strict, right? So it actually depends. Strictness is different and rudeness is different. Rudeness is a very different thing and strictness is different. A person can be strict, but he is not rude. If a person is rude, he is not strict. So these two are completely different thing, right? A manager has to be strict with everyone, otherwise everyone will be reluctant to their job. But strict yet with a happy face, with a motivating speech, with a positive speech. If you do this, it will be better for your career. I'm telling you this because this is good for you. At the end of the day, I'm looking after you, right? I want your success. I want you get this promotion. I am doing this for you. So a happy thought. And if a manager say like, you don't know anything, how did you ended up getting a job here? You don't deserve to be here. If you are here, that's it. But you will not be going anywhere in a big organization in future. So if the speech is like that, you will still do job, but out of fear, so that you doesn't lose the job. But when you will get a better opportunity, you will move. But if the manager's approach is happy and positive, then you will do the job with a happy face and you will be willing to stay in the organization, right, for a longer period of time and serve for them. So depending on the interpersonal skills, it depends whether your employees are motivated or demotivated. So it's very important for a manager to have this kind of positive skills, interpersonal skills. After that comes our conceptual skills. What does the word mean by conceptual? In exams we see, right, conceptual question. So what does it mean by this conceptual word?
Conceptual refers to concepts, means what would be the next step if he has that particular understanding, depending, like if he has the understanding on his employees as well, that what would be his next move. So he has to have that particular concept. So I think that's one of the things that is mentioned by those skills.
So concept can be pre-built or it can be like yeah, it can some concepts are pre-built, some are not. So for say a theory of on competitive advantage theory, or absolute advantage theory. These theories are already proven, right? These concepts are already proven. So we already know it, but in terms of manager, when they work in organization, they don't follow any book, they don't follow any structure or principle. They take decision out of their prior experience, their knowledge, right, their skills. So conceptual skills, it actually means the ability to think in a abstract situation. When we don't know anything, but you have to take decision out of your depending on your previous experience, depending on your ability, depending on the past trend, depending on the skills, then we say you have a good conceptual skill. When I give you a question in the exam and I say describe it in your own words, that means I want to see your conceptual skill, how far you think about it, like how can you pursue with this question, how far is your knowledge, right, how outward is your knowledge. So this is called concept. Different people have different concept depending on the same thing. Now let me give you a question, okay? If I say this question to you, nowadays many people want to know about the history of their house or the building they live in. Nowadays many people wants to know the history of their house or the building they live in. Why is that? What is the reasons behind it? Explain it your own terms. Then what would be your answer? Nowadays, many people wants to know about the history of their house or building they live in currently. Okay, so that's your question. So I give you, this is a conceptual question, right? Now tell me, what is your answer? Why they do so? It's not a pre-built concept, right? You have to write it in your own terms. So tell me your ideas about it. What do you understand by the question? Nowadays, many people want to know about the history of the house or the building they lives in currently.
Whether they want to know whether it has any sort of modern history in the house or not.
Okay.
Maybe they want to know if there is any sort of spiritual histories or not. This is the one. Like even if I make it my personal experience when I was in Shakya, the house that we stayed, it was built on a graveyard.
Okay.
So that particular house has a lot of histories, the spiritual things and things like that, stuff like that. So yeah, it could be anything that could be understood.
So you are basically talking about, you want to know the history because there might be some interesting facts about it and you want to know it, right? So what are the other ideas?
Like if there is any
Okay, you have already told one idea, right? Let someone else try another idea. You have talked about the interest of it. Like it's interesting to know the history of it because it can be associated with a murder history or a spiritual history, a horror story. So it might be a fact of interest. Okay. So what are the other ideas can be? If I'm giving you the question, what did you write? He will be writing about this concept. What would be your concept? What will you write?
Many things may be included in the record. From my view, I can say my house was built by my grandfather, and he made it for his personal reasons that he made because of his uh, mm, because of his uh, uh, because of his other interest in investing.
That means you want to know your family history, right? Your heritage. You will describe about your family history, your heritage, because you want to know someone's history, heritage, right? So if the question is given to me, I would write I want to know the history of the house I'm living in because of the safety purposes. Safety purposes because I'll know the information about the previous owners. If there was a like a robbery in here or there was a certain case or this house is built on an illegal property, so that I don't have to move, right? So I will collect the history because of the security purposes. He will collect the history because of out of interest, curiosity. He will be collecting the history because he wants to know about the heritage of someone else, right? So we have 3 people have different concept on the same thing, right? Different concepts. Someone is interested about the curious about the facts. I am curious about my security. He is curious about the past heritage. That means this is concept, right? A certain thing, different manager has different concept. Now, a successful manager will choose a appropriate concept for the organization. So a manager's job is to think in an abstract, in an effective way. Choose a concept which is actually appropriate for the organization. It is actually going to, by this concept, organization's goals are going to meet. Organization's goals is going to achieve. So that is actually conceptual skills. Okay, so those person who have greater conceptual skills, who can think more about a topic, they have a broad range of quality to adopt in any situation, because they can think anything out of nowhere. So they have these special skills. After that comes our diagnostic skills. The word diagnostic, where we use it the word most? In which place we use this diagnostic word most? Hospitals, right? Yes. So diagnosis means what? Actually analyzing everything, right? So in hospitals we actually diagnostic. Why we do diagnose? Because we want to actually know everything in our body, what is happening in the blood and the sugar level and everything, right? So diagnostic skills actually means scanning the whole organization. What is the problem? Finding out the problem and then solving the problem. So a manager has to know where is the problem. The problem is in customer is dissatisfied, but you are telling the employees that your behavior is not right, that's why the customer is unhappy. But the customer is unhappy because they are unhappy with the product quality, not with the employee behavior. But you are charging your employee saying that because of your behavior customers are dissatisfied. Is this the right diagnostic results? No. So a manager has to identify the right problem to solve the problem. Identify the problem. This is the main skill. After that comes our communication skills, which is very basic, communicating in an effective way. Communicate so that people listens to you. Communicate so that people actually work for you. It doesn't mean I'm saying, my boss is saying a lot of things, I'm not picking up anything. At the end of the day, I'm not doing anything because I didn't listen, I didn't care. No, this is not effective communication, right? Communication has to be like I'm talking, you are listening and you are doing accordingly. This is communication. Okay, after that, decision making and time management skill. Decision making skill, we actually understand it, taking the right decision in the right moment. Managers have to take very difficult decisions in a very short span of time, right? So decision making skills is very important. Based on which factors a manager actually take decisions. When someone takes decisions, they actually rely on some factors, right? They don't take decision out of blue. So for a manager, which factors are actually depends or which factors are responsible when they take decisions? What are they thinking when they take any decision about the organization?
Finding the problem. At first, manager have to find out the problem, then choose the best alternative for resolve.
Okay, and after finding the problem, he will just take the decision, or he will like look for some other options.
He has to think about alternative ways to solve it.
That means if you are given a short span of time and there is a problem in your organization, first what would anyone do? I will look for the problem area, right? Then I will see what the others did in the same area. I will take some reference. Then what I do, that for last 5 years or 10 years, what has been happening in the organization associated with this problem, past data, I will collect the past data. Then based on my personal experience and skills, I will take an appropriate decision. So there are lots of variables including it in a decision making process, right? After that comes our time management skill. That means prioritize which work is to done in which time. Prioritize. Time management is not always like the meeting is at 10, so I am there by 10. No, Time management is not like being present at the perfect time. It's also about doing the right work at the right time. Your company is facing a huge crisis because they don't have any fund. Okay. Also, there is a small issue that your packaging, the product packaging is not good. It's customer feedback. Which is more crucial? The financing problem or the packaging issue, product packaging issue? Financial. So as a manager, if you prioritize, give time to the packaging section now and think about later about the financing, so what would be happening to the organization? It would be doomed, right? So right time, prioritize the right work at the right time. So first you have to go for the financial issue, solve it, and then go for the packaging. At the right time, take the right decision, prioritize your work. Okay, so that's all for our skills. Now there are two lines here. The nature of managerial work. Someone please read out these two definitions and tell me what this writers actually says about management. What do you understand about it? These are the two philosophical definitions of our management process. It is a bit different, which I taught you earlier. That's why it's here. Tell me what you understand about the first one.
Business is simple. Management's job is to take care of employees. The employee's job is to take care of customers. Happy customers takes care of stakeholders. It's a circle. So it actually defines in a way that if you look at business in a simple way, the management should definitely know how to take care of their employees. And when employees are happy, they actually do their job properly to make their customers happy. And when the customers are happy, they will definitely use your product. And when they are using your product or buying your product, means the stakeholders are happy. So
more profit, right? More profit, so stakeholders are happy.
So it is a circle. When
What's your cycle? Yes.
happy, it means your management is happy and your employees are
So if your customers are happy, they are buying more products, so it means more profitability. More profit, that means all the shareholders are happy. So if the shareholders are happy, your brand value will go up, share price will go up. Eventually, you will make more money, more financing. So it will be returning back to the management. Right. So the management will use the money again for the employees, for the betterment of the employees. The employee will serve to the customer will be happy, they will be spending on the product. With that money, shareholder will be happy, then it will be a return. So it's the cycle, right? So it's saying a business is very simple if you just can understand the cycle. And the second one, by Peter. Someone read out the second one. A bit louder so that everyone can hear. Anyone? Are you feeling too childish to read out in front of everyone? Like in school or something, that's why. See it because of the light?
Business is really an art form. At its best, it's the artistry of how people create things
Together. So it's a different concept, right? It's saying it's a cycle, it's a process of work, right? Like a mathematical way, a systematic way, right? But it is saying business is an art. Art is a very abstract thing, right? There is no right and wrong in art. So art is a very abstract thing, and it is saying business is an art form. At its best, it's the artistry of how people create things together. That means working in an organization, people are creating something good, and that is the art, and that is the business. So this is a more philosophical sentence. So with these two definitions, we can get two vibes of management. One is talking about more of an analytical thing, steps, that means science related stuff. One is talking about more of an art of a stuff, abstract thing. So there is a debate among our management people or the researchers. They actually say there are two groups. Some say management is an art, some say management is a science. So there is an ongoing debate. From these two debates, these two definitions are here.
But somehow these two are actually related.
Okay, how?
You can see, it says at its best, it's the artistry
Of how people create things together. Yes.
Now you see, management is taking care of employees are taking care of customers, and the customers are taking care of stakeholders.
Yes.
It means they are doing things together.
So that means of course it will be related because it's talking about the same thing, management, right? But they are talking about more a scientific approach, they are talking about a more relaxed approach, artistry type of vibe, okay? That's how it's different, but the thing is same, right?
Yes.
They are talking about people, they are talking about the people. Working together, they are also working together.
Yeah.
So, by science of management, what do you actually understand by the first definition? So, management is an approach where it's more logical, rational, objective, a systematic approach, which we actually rely on. So, when we say about we collect data, when a problem arises, we collect data, we analyze, then depending on the past trend, we actually take a decision. That means it's a more quantitative model. For the last 5 years, what your organization is doing, we collect the data, then we take a decision. That means it's more mathematical, a more quantitative way. That is why we can call our management as a science, because it has logic, it has rationality, right? It has logic. And why we call management as an art? Tell me. Science we all understood because this is a process, we can calculate everything, we take decision by calculative measures, we see the past trend data, depending on this data we take a decision. So it's a more mathematical form. So we can say management is a part of science. But how can we say management is a part of art?
Art is the reflection of the work. When we work excellent way, that is called art. Science is systematic, but art is a reflection of work.
That means referring to your words, work. That means work of people, work of manager. When we take any decision or when we work, do we actually follow every time certain steps or methods, or sometimes we take a wild guess? Sometimes we guess, right? It's not always about the math, it's not always about the data, it's not always about logic. Sometimes we take some decisions which doesn't make any sense, but it works out.
Few times earlier you said that it's all about experience that actually sometimes make you to take a decision.
Conceptualize the fact, the future, predict the future. So predicting the future, conceptualizing a fact, these are all abstract things. These has no finite definition. These has no math. These has no variable, right? Sometimes manager look at the data. Sometimes what they do, they think about their past knowledge, past experience. They actually rely on their own instincts. We say about the sixth sense, right? What is the sixth sense? Sixth sense is when we know that something is right or wrong based on our own personal experience. Past time it happened, so it might happen now, right? Or you just feel it in yourself that it might be right. It's your guess, it's a wild guess. That is why management is also an art, because managers does not always rely on the data, all the steps. They actually take decisions sometimes depending on their experience, intuition, personal instincts, their sixth sense. That is why management is also an art, because it's not every time it doesn't follow any steps. Sometimes it just take a wild guess. They just depend on their own instincts. So the two debates, they are both logical actually. It is also a part of science, it is also a part of art, both. Yes, how they actually represent it. Yes, how they want to represent it. Some companies, like technological companies, they actually rely more on data, and the companies with the service related thing, they actually rely on arts more. Those who are providing service, for hotel service, education service, they might be relying on the arts. For the companies who are manufacturing car or mobile, they might be relying on the science. So those both concepts are actually correct. Okay, so this is the last slide of our first chapter. So this is the source of management skill. It's just a basic thing. It's just said how the management skills can be built, how a manager can be successful. So there are two things basically. First of all is the source of education. To be in a certain position, forget about manager. If you want to get a job, then you have to have a good knowledge about the concept. That means educational knowledge, right? Then you go move to the executive with a basic knowledge. After that you grow some experience from there, you learn some new skills, new abilities. With that knowledge you apply for the higher position. One day with your all the and what happens, you are all here for the MBA degree. Why? Because in organization you need this skill now, you need this knowledge now, right? So for say employee or a person just graduated from the university, completed his BBA and moved to an organization as an executive. He doesn't know anything about organization, so he only have the knowledge, education. After that, moving into that organization, he gains some skills, some ability. So he moves to the senior executive, then to the VP. Now in the VP position, he actually needs more knowledge. So he gets admitted to university for a higher degree. He also has experience, 10-15 years experience. Now he has greater knowledge. With that, they eventually come to a managerial position. This is actually happen. This actually happens in the world, right? Today's world. You have knowledge, you have experience, you have ability, you have a long time, 10 or 15 years time span of experience, you have some good value certificates, good knowledge, then you become successful manager with experience, ability and knowledge. So this is the basic thing. Here is an example of Herb Kellers. He is actually an American business icon and was responsible for leading Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is a domestic airlines between probably USA, yes, America. So what happened? They actually, Southwest Airlines is used for domestic use from state to state, moving to state to state. They are facing huge loss and people are leaving from their organization. So this person actually made profit, turned out the company. They were facing loss and this person actually made thrice of the profit within only 2 years. So because of his leadership skills, Southwest Airlines is now one of the top 10 organizations of US. But it was once on a verge of bankrupt. So with the knowledge, skill, ability, a manager can actually turn the whole picture of an organization. So that's all for today and for this chapter as well. Okay, any question regarding this chapter, chapter 1? Anything you don't understand or you have confusion? No? Understood everything? So I hope my students will get a very good results as well in the exam. Okay, inshallah. So in the next class, we will actually move into our chapter 2, okay? And there is a case which I will be discussing in the first half of the class, and then we'll move to the chapter 2, okay? Video post করে দিন